Hello, this is Andrew Jun Donovan coming to you from the Unconscious channel, and this is part three of a mini series that we're doing here at Unconscious. The theme is consciously creating from wholeness versus from lack. And today is a discussion about alignment, but not the kind of discussion that you've probably had about alignment 100 different times in 100 different ways or seen all over the internet. This is going to be a really unique perspective about alignment because the fact is that most people practice alignment in order to get somewhere that they're not. And we're going to talk about alignment from a really different perspective. So if you are joining this mini series today and you haven't tuned into the first two episodes, then you can go back and watch those. And I'm going to give you a little recap and show you and talk about how we got here because I love for everything to just make sense big picture. So the first transmission in this mini series was about why we do what we do in the world of self-development, personal development, self-improvement, like why we're practicing mindfulness, why we're learning conscious creation, why people are intentionally working to improve themselves and improve their lives. And the why that we're talking about in this space, it makes all the difference. And what we've looked at here is the difference between trying to improve yourself or improve your life from a lack perspective, a state of being in lack, versus from a perspective of wholeness, meaning the perspective that understanding that the only reason why we want to fix anything, the only reason why we want more of something, the only reason why we are trying to fill the gaps in our life is because we're attempting to return to a state of wholeness, a state that we truly were born into this world as, like being just completely whole in our worth, like that brand new baby version of you, having achieved nothing, having never gone anywhere in the world, having made no like notable difference in other people's lives through what it's contributed societally. Like you were just born completely whole in your worth, and you were so deserving of goodness, of a good life, of care, of your needs being met, of love, and you belonged. You were just completely whole in the way that you belonged, and there was this richness to the kind of belonging where you belong in the arms of people who just love you. You belong in spaces where you're safe and where you're nurtured and where you get to figure yourself out and figure out what you're going to do with your life and who you're going to become. And you were completely whole in your significance, meaning that you mattered just because you existed. Like you were born significant and you hadn't done favors for anybody. You hadn't made a name for yourself. You hadn't made a difference in all of the ways that most of us run around the world in our lives trying to make an impact and trying to get noticed. Like you hadn't done any of that. You just existed. And so you were completely significant and you were perfectly whole in your freedom, meaning your freedom to be what you were, like a little blob that was completely helpless and needed everyone to do everything for it. And you were free to become anything. And this is how we came into the world. This is what at Unconscious we mean when we say you are your whole truth. And the reason why this matters so much is because so often in the world of like conscious creation, entrepreneurship, achievement, like personal development of all sorts, we address life and ourselves from the attitude that we need to fix what's wrong or we're here and we desire to be over here so we need to do something about it to fill in the gap or we think we have something to prove or we've got to earn our way to happiness and what I found is that all of this is just us trying to figure out our way back to that whole state that we started with. And the whole reason for this series of conversations is because it is, in fact, possible, not only possible, but like call it destiny, call it divine birthright to actually be in a state of wholeness right now, exactly as you are, wherever you are, right now in this moment. And then from a space of remembering that you're whole already, looking to the world and saying, now what do I want to do? Like and so I know that to the human mind this doesn't make any sense because we are so cognizant of the spaces where we think we're lacking. Like, like my body has some deficiencies, my relationship has some deficiencies, my like there are things that I want to improve about all the aspects of my life. Maybe there's not enough of certain resources that you've got or that you don't have. Like I get that there are things that we want more of. The point of this is why we want more is because we think that having more will make us feel whole. So what if we just started with remembering that we're already whole? And so that was the first conversation. And the last conversation that we had yesterday was about the natural byproducts of creating from wholeness. Because the truth is that when we create from lack, the only thing that fills lack is lack. And this is why the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. Because people who know how to start from a state of abundance and compound on that, like that's the rich getting richer. And people who start from poor and try to fill in the poorness, like fill in the lack, like I lack money, I lack resources, I lack opportunities, and you're trying to do something to fill in the lack. The only thing that fills lack is lack. That's why the poor get poorer. And this is not a conversation exclusively about money, but that's such a good illustration. And so, in our last conversation, we explored how the natural byproducts of creating from wholeness instead of from lack is true power, true purpose, like solid purpose and a real kind of prosperity where it's not prosperity that you're accumulating to try and fill in the holes of not loving yourself. It's not prosperity that you're accumulating to try and impress other people or to make a name for yourself or to disprove any fears you might have that like you're trapped or you're insignificant. Like when we start as whole with ourselves, we have nothing to prove. We have no cage to break out of because we just know we are a truly free being. We are a powerful person. And because there's no need and there's no lack, you're already whole. Your cup's already full. And then one drop on top of that full cup causes overflow, abundance. That's what we're talking about here. So the next natural question is, how do you do it? Like, if this makes sense, then how do you go about creating from wholeness instead of creating from lack when to the human mind it's so obvious the areas where there's real lack? And I've had this conversation challenged so many times in my years of being in this space. And I genuinely appreciate the challenge because what people tell me is they say, I'm a realist. Like I'm not gonna bury my head in the sand, or I'm not gonna just put my head in the clouds, or I'm not gonna paint a shitty reality with sunshine and rainbows and sparkles. But that's not what we're talking about here. So when I described that state that you and I and everyone in the world came into life, came into this existence as that, like, just perfect expression of wholeness, that makes sense to you, right? And then sometimes we think, well, how did we get ourselves so tangled up to where we're running around the world trying to get more, trying to fight all the battles we think we're supposed to fight and make sure we're able to like get more of what we think is going to make us feel better and feel bigger and feel mightier or be less small, less insignificant. Like how do we get there? That's where this conversation starts. So this is the conversation about alignment. The answer, how do you create from wholeness versus from lack, is alignment. Now, just for a simple definition, alignment is like think about when a car is driving down the highway and you feel the steering wheel get a little bit rickety, and it's because the car has a misalignment. And if you let go of the steering wheel, it starts to veer to the right, and then you have to, force correct it back to going straight. But the car constantly wants to pull to the right. And the longer you let the car drive like this, the worse the misalignment gets. And if you let go of the steering wheel completely and stop forcing it back to driving straight, it would just eventually have such a misalignment that it would just drive you to the side of the highway barrier. That's kind of like us moving through life. And what I think of when I think of the term alignment, this is a word that has become like just widely used, and I really love the mass adoption of this word. The way that most people use alignment is they say when a thing is not aligned for them. And so, for example, people on occasion will contact me and they'll say, Andrew, I've just got the most incredible business opportunity and it's a brand new network marketing company and I want you in at the top level with me. Like, and there's so much opportunity. And I will say, thank you for thinking of me. That's not really aligned for me. I am full focus on the mission of my company. And I have three other business ventures that I'm involved with simultaneously too. So all of my energy is with what I'm creating, what my focus is right now. That other opportunity, that's not aligned for me. That's how most people talk about alignment. An external thing or event that you say is not in alignment with you as a person. And we're really saying that's not aligned with like my goals or my intentions or my values maybe. But when we're talking about alignment in this space, we're talking about internal alignment. And to me, this is everything. The way that I like to look at reality is that the reality a person, you or me, experiences is comprised of only two things. So we are always moving forward through time and space. Like you're never standing still. You're never actually stuck. That's impossible because you're moving forward through time and space. Like you cannot be moving forward through time and space. Time is always unfolding. That moment that I just said that, it's already unfolded into a new moment. Now that unfolded into a new moment. And now that unfolded into a new moment. Like we're always moving forward through time and space. Does that make sense? And the only thing that creates our trajectory is the decisions we make. I could decide right now to turn this off and turn off the camera, stop doing the recording, and that would change the trajectory of my day. It would change the trajectory of me in my business. But I'm not going to do that because my intention is to create some amazing, to record this transmission and create beautiful spaces where we can have these conversations. And so I'm going to stay on this trajectory. So while we're moving through time and space, simultaneously, whatever we are being is what we're attracting to us. So someone who knows how to be like a self-empowered, self-led hero of their own story. That's the person who tends to attract amazing opportunities and amazing relationships and partnerships and collaborations and opportunities that develop them into more or that maximize their talents, opportunities to serve. Like that's what they tend to attract because they're the match to that. Somebody who knows how to be a victim attracts things going wrong, attracts opportunities that validate their victimhood. Does that make sense? And I know this is a conversation that people can get very sensitive about because it feels like an injustice, but bear with me because there is all the opportunity here for like real personal power and like living the ultimate justice of the universe, which is going to become really clear in this conversation. So, does that make sense to you? What the trajectory that we're on is dictated by our decisions. No one can change our trajectory for us. Like we make the decisions. We're the only ones who decide for our own trajectory. And stuff might happen in life that we weren't anticipating, but we're the one that makes the decisions that allow us to navigate whatever is going on around us. And whatever we're being is what we're attracting to us. So the base work of unconscious is this kind of conscious creation. Like when I talk about conscious creation, I'm not talking about like magic manifestation, which I don't have an argument with. But like I see so much stuff on the internet that's like, play this reel 3 times. It has a magic manifestation frequency, and money will hit your bank account in 72 hours. Like we're not talking about conscious creation like that. Conscious creation is our conscious ability to create ourselves. That's it. I remember when I was a young 20 something year old, I used to be a really impatient person. Like, I had crazy road rage. I would be driving down the street and I would just like shake my fist at, or I hated when people didn't use their blinkers. So if someone didn't use their blinker, I'd like go, like I was just this little turd that thought he knew everything and had it all right, everything figured out. And I was really impatient. When I became aware, that I was a very impatient person. I battled with it for a few years, and then I made a conscious decision to shift that trait about me. And I consciously created myself into a more patient version of myself. That's conscious creation. Or somebody who, let's say that they've lived their whole life and they're all their time with their family in some kind of lack mindset when it comes to money. And they've got a lot of stories, a lot of like, little just idioms that their family repeats, like money doesn't grow on trees, or, you have to be corrupt if you really want to be wealthy. You've got to be able to take advantage of people. Like let's say that a person has a whole bunch of that in their laced through their money paradigm. And then they become aware of it and they decide, you know, there are versions of people in the world where those things might be true, but there are also versions where people are really good people and wealthy and they get to do good things with their wealth. I'd rather be that person. And so they start consciously creating themselves into a different version where they think different things and believe different things. That's conscious creation. And so the whole point of this conversation series that we're having is that most people get into this kind of work thinking that they have a problem, like, oh, I think such crappy things about money, or I believe such limiting things about love and romance, and so I need to create myself to be different. But do you see that the issue with that is that the only thing that fills lack is lack. So if you're like, I'm deficient in love, or I'm deficient in money, or I'm deficient in career success, like I'm lacking in some way, let me do something about it on the outside, like that's how you create the kind of life that I described in the first transmission in this miniseries, where like I got so good at building up a big, impressive, successful life on the outside, but it was too much of it was to fill this just lack that I felt inside of me, this like deep, persistent fear that I wasn't enough. And if I didn't keep achieving bigger and bigger things and prop it all up, then it would all collapse. It would all crumble down. All the wealth, the money, the opportunities, the reputation, it would all dry up. And then I would just be left with me, not enough, not worthy, not good enough. And that's where this big shift happened in my life. And I realized there is an opportunity here to consciously create from a different space. And this space, just so you know, is like it's a new kind of conversation that I see emerging all over, and I really like it. I see different thought leaders and coaches and speakers and authors having more of these conversations where basically the message is it is a lie that there's something wrong with you and you need to go out and fix it in the world, or you need to go out in the world and fix it with yourself. Like it is a lie that you're lacking, it's a lie that you're deficient, it's a lie that there's something wrong with you. And this is a tricky thing for the human mind because you might be like my 20-year-old self where you're like, wait, but I am definitely really impatient, which means I lack patience. So wouldn't it be a good thing for me to see the lack and say I want to do something about it? So that this is where alignment comes into the equation here. When we talk about alignment in the unconscious space, we're talking about internal alignment. There are a lot of internal layers to a human being. You on the very outside, you've got like your human body, right? The place where your mind and soul meet the world. So your physical body. And then beneath the physical layers, you've got all the stuff that's intangible. You've got the level of action, so the actions you take with your body. And then you've got the things you say. And then you've got the emotions you feel, which really drive what we say and drive our actions. And then you've got the things you think, which is what creates your emotions per cognitive behavioral therapy philosophy. And then beneath your thoughts, you've got the beliefs, the things you that are hardwired into your mind, the way that you believe life and you and the world works, and your beliefs create your thoughts. And then you've got what we talk about in this space, I call it desire. Like not the stuff you want on the surface of your life. Like I want to get my nails done and I want a nicer boyfriend who buys me flowers. Like deep desire. Like I soul levels, like the desire that sits on your heart. Like I desire rich connection. I desire to be seen and to see other people for who they truly are. I did like those kinds of desires. And then beneath, at the very core of our existence, is what we call whole truth. and whole truth is just what we came into this world as. And the ego mind, the human mind on the surface, it's whole truth is what the ego's constantly trying to get back to. That's the biggest irony of all of this that we're talking about here. So alignment is when all the components are aligned in purpose, in energy and focus. And so, a way to illustrate this is let's say that a person has a desire for success and they started a business, but they're really afraid to fail because they think that if they fail, it will just validate that they really didn't matter. Like they're afraid to put themselves out on the internet because if not enough people share their content or like their content or watch their content and then buy their product, then it'll just it'll just prove that they really didn't matter. So they're not whole with their own significance. And in that misalignment, on the surface, we just see their actions. They don't show up for their business. They don't take the risk of sharing their message. And when we watch them, as a little fly on the wall, we watch them sitting on the couch, really comfortable, binge watching TVs, because it's more comfortable to laugh at a funny show that makes you feel good versus to take the risk of really pursuing your dream. That's misalignment. You see that the action does not align with the desire. There's a lot of misalignment in the emotion because you this person that we're describing, they're feeling this fear of what if I'm really not significant? And then that's creating their lack of action in their business and the action of just sitting on the couch watching TV. So that's what misalignment looks like. Alignment is where everything is aligned in focus and intention. So the same person has a desire to succeed with their business. The business is more of a surface level want, but the person has a deep desire to succeed, to contribute meaningfully to the world. And let's say that there's something about this person that just, I don't know, it's like a soul level calling. Let's say that this person has a desire to 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 remind women of their power as CEOs, as high-ranking leaders, as high-ranking officials, like more powerful women in spaces and conversations that help shape society and bring balance to the political scene, things like that. Okay, let's say that that's just where they're naturally called, this individual, and so they've got all this desire to empower women, this desire to the desire to help men experience the beauty of powerful women, good women in power. Like what an incredible theme. And so they've got all this desire, and and let's say that their beliefs are aligned with that desire. They believe that women should be in power. That they believe that all women are naturally inherently powerful people. They believe that women have a special touch, like a different brand of magic than the kind of magic that we're used to turning to when we want to build an empire or build a company or build a movement. And so their beliefs are aligned with the desire. And they believe that women are capable, they believe that they themselves are capable, and so then that changes their thoughts. And the things that they think about in the world, they're not thinking, oh, why is this so hard? Oh, what if this never takes off? They're thinking, how? How's this going to take off? Like what's going to come next? What's available for me right now? What would make an impact today? What's the plan or the strategy that I'm seeing right now? Or if I don't, like what's my intuitive impulse guiding me toward? Like those are the kinds of thoughts that they think. They see opportunities versus when people are misaligned, they see opportunities as a potential hazard because what if it goes wrong? What if you mess it up? What if you fail? But someone who's in alignment sees the opportunities and recognizes the opportunities. Those are the kinds of thoughts they think. So the kinds of feelings they feel in their actual body are feelings of calm, like assurance, self-assurance, that kind of assurance that comes when you've got a goal, you're focused on the goal, and you believe you can do it. You believe the universe has your back. You believe that the right opportunities will come into play. You believe that like all of life, there could easily be unforeseen obstacles, and you believe that you'll figure it out. And so you feel self-assured, you feel confident, you feel grateful when really cool opportunities come. You feel grateful when little miracles happen along the way. Like those are aligned feelings. And so the actions you take match everything else we've discovered. And the actions, like they could look like so many things, but in this little story we're making up here, the actions could look like you launch that podcast where you're gonna interview like really cool women making waves in society, in entrepreneurship, in business, people who are helping craft entirely new paradigms about what human beings are capable of, people who have conversations about feminine energetics, like all of that. And that's like those are the kinds of actions being taken. So that's what alignment looks like. All the layers line up. Does that make sense? The concept, when we have it in this kind of conversation, it's clear. But where it gets messy is when we go out into the world and it's like you think tens of thousands of thoughts a day. The emotions that a real human being feels, like it's not like today I feel grateful, but yesterday I felt sad. Like we're so dynamic, you know. You might feel one emotion about how slowly the elevator comes to pick you up at the apartment complex where you live, and you might feel really excited that you got to the gym and all of your equipment was available and waiting for you. You didn't have to wait for it. Like you could feel we feel such a smorgasbord of emotions and belief wise, like we believe so many, we don't even, you know, we're not even conscious of most of our beliefs. Like you could pick one topic and there are a bunch of beliefs we have that align with our goals and our dreams and our desires, and there's a bunch of beliefs that don't align. And so the question is, how the heck do you come into alignment? So that, because when we're in alignment, that's when you're accessing your true power from your whole truth, from you as the source of your power, you as the source of your truth. Like that's like where intuition and inner clarity are just an abundant resource. It's like true alignment, the way that we're talking about it, that's the person who is self-resourced, meaning you don't know where the money's going to come from, you don't know where the opportunities are going to come from. Maybe you have some ideas, maybe you've got some projects you're working on, but ultimately, the ultimate truth is that you're a self-resourced person. Like that's the kind of alignment we're talking about. So how the heck do you get there? And there are many answers in the world of self-development. Some people's answer is like cognitive behavioral therapy, like pick thoughts that are not distorted, pick thoughts that are not dysfunctional, pick thoughts that are rational. And so you got an entire branch of psychology that helps you dial in your thoughts. There are more emotional methods where it's like if you feel a negative emotion, it's because you're thinking thoughts that don't actually align with your true being. And so find a thought that feels better until it feels better, and then you know you're coming into alignment. There are on even more surface level methods that focus on action, and this is where people say you need daily habits. This is why I see so many posts on social media that are like my 5 daily hacks to make sure that you have a good day. And so it's like get a full night's sleep, drink lots of water, do a 15-minute meditation, you know, etc. Like move your body first thing in the morning. It's all action level stuff. And none of this is right or wrong. The reason why this was such an imperative part of our conversation is because, like we've been talking about this whole mini series, there's a difference between seeking alignment because you're trying to fix the lack, fix the problems, versus seeking alignment because alignment is the truth. Just let that land for a minute. It feels like chaos when we're trying to fix our misalignment because it's a bumpy ride and we're having a horrible day and we're not liking ourselves or liking our life or liking the person or the people around us or the results we're getting, and we feel like when you're driving with a car that has poor alignment and you feel the shakiness of it, like when that's us in our lives. Like we feel that misalignment and it can create chaos when you're like, oh, what am I believe? I must believe crappy beliefs that are causing all of these issues, or I must be, I don't know, like I must be thinking bad thoughts. I gotta catch all of my negative thoughts, my negative self-talk. Like it can be chaotic trying to figure all of that out when you're trying to fix the problem. But when we seek alignment because it's just the truth, it's a completely different energy. That why we do anything changes the thing that we do. Why we do anything, why we be any way, why we seek anything changes the thing, changes the experience, changes the quality of the outcomes. Always. This is why like when I see somebody as an entrepreneur trying to achieve something really cool as an entrepreneur, but I can feel the misalignment in their energy and their intention. I can feel that they're doing it because there's part of them that is misaligned with part of their innate whole truth, and I can tell from a mile away when they're doing it because they're trying to get significance. And I'm like, you can keep going and you might achieve, you might go viral on the internet, but maybe not for the right reasons and not like the right what are the right reasons? The right reasons is always you, your whole truth, and you expressing that freely in the world. That's the right reason. So the moral of the story is that as humans, you're in this conversation, you're watching this video because I know that you're a powerful person and you're meant to go into the world and do things powerfully, like cultivate relationships in a rich kind of caring power, to do whatever you do for work or for money or your contribution to society in a certain, a self-assured power that's like rooted in love. The real power in this space, it's not never messing up. It's the conscious decision to come back into alignment and to come back into alignment for really good reasons. And the best reason is always that you're meant to feel whole. Not because you don't feel whole, it's because you're meant to feel whole because it's the truth. That's it. Does that make sense? I know that this concept, it's so different from most of these conversations in the world, but I think that it's everything. When we look at really important things that we want to achieve as humanity, like world peace. Do you know what world peace looks like? World peace looks like billions of people on the planet who aren't fighting each other, who aren't competing for resources. World peace is billions of people on the planet working in harmony, leveraging their collective genius, bringing all their ideas, bringing their resources, and figuring out how does one plus one equal 1,000 because that's synergy. That's billions of people operating from whole truth. We're only fighting each other and hoarding resources and competing for resources and stealing from each other when we're not whole with ourselves and we think I need something from you or I've got to get you away get I have to subdue you or get you out of the equation in order to protect myself. That's coming from lack. That's a person or a nation or a civilization not whole with themselves. And the same principles apply in our own lives as individuals. And also, real power is not withstanding the pressure or the suffering in the big picture or in the small picture of our lives. It's learning to hold your true state in atypical coherence. And this is the real magic and where this conversation is leading into. Because I get that the base question the human mind has in everything we're talking about here is you can say, okay, I accept that I came into this world as perfectly whole. There was nothing wrong with me. Like, even if you were born with something that was a deviation from the norm, like, say, you were born missing a limb, or you were born neurodivergent, or you were born with, I don't know, some kind of genetic disorder. Like even that baby, we all know they were whole. They were perfect. Like, there was nothing wrong with them. They might have had an extra gene added in, but there was nothing wrong with them. Like, that's actually this is interesting. That's actually the biggest lesson that I hear over and over again from families who have a what's the genetic condition called, babe, when a person's born with that extra chromosome? Down syndrome. Thank you. That I've met so many families that have a Down syndrome child in it, and every single one of them says that that child was the greatest gift to the family because they were just the bringer of love. And so so my point is that your human mind might be able to say, okay, I accept that I was born into this world as perfectly whole. But now I'm living my life and there's a bunch of problems that I want to solve. There are some problems in the surface of my life I want to solve, or maybe things that are going well, but I wish they were going better. And there are definitely things about me that I want to be better. So if I feel that lack of wholeness, or if I see the lack of wholeness or that lack of abundance within me or in the outside of my life, like how do I approach things from being whole? And this is actually what in conscious style alignment is. In conscious style alignment is where I can look at any situation or anything about me, and my only question is when I'm being my whole truth self, what's it like? Meaning that, like, let's say that I have a conversation with my partner and we have a little conflict. And then that night before I'm going to bed, I'm just reflecting on the day and seeing what I could, what I can be grateful for and what I can learn from the day. And I think about that conflict and I think, how would my whole true self have handled that? And I realize, you know how he would have handled it? He wouldn't have taken that little thing his partner said personally because I see what happened. His partner said something that he interpreted it as you're still not doing enough, you're still not good enough. But my whole truth self would have heard that and just thought, haha, you're being funny, I get it. He wouldn't have taken it personally. Then there wouldn't have been a conflict. That's whole truth alignment. Or you might look at something that you feel called to do, but you're scared to do it. Like that risk that you've been wondering, when are you going to take that risk and launch the business or do the thing that you really believe you're supposed to do for the business? But so far you've been maybe operating more from fear than from wholeness. And so whole truth alignment is where you say, okay, the whole truth version of me in my business, what's he doing? And you sit with it and it's so easy to see. You say, because you realize if I knew that I was worthy, if I knew that I was already significant, then I wouldn't need any results to prove anything from my business. I would just build a business that I freaking love for the sake of love. That's it. So, yeah, I would do that thing that looks risky because I know that there's not actually a risk because the whole truth version of me is free. The whole truth version of me is free to try on the risky thing and to really develop his skills if he has some skills to develop. The whole truth version of me is free to fall down and mess up and do it messy because I'm a human being and we get to be humans and I'm free to pivot if I want to pivot, or I'm free to keep going and get better and better. Like, but the whole truth version of me knows what to do in that moment, so I don't have to worry about the risk. That's whole truth alignment. You see what I'm talking about here? And so this is why everything we do at Unconscious comes back to whole truth, because it is the simplest way to find your alignment. It's simpler than like I've seen people just in a whirlwind, like chaos of trying to manage every single thought they think because they read some self-help book that says don't think limiting thoughts, don't think negative thoughts. They hurt your hormones, they hurt your nervous system, your cells listen, the universe responds. Like so they read the book that's like don't think bad thoughts. And so now they're just like in this state of paralysis and inner chaos trying to micromanage every single thought that they think. They're like, good thought, bad thought, good thought, bad thought, bad thought, bad thought. Oh no, I'm thinking bad thoughts. Like it's a mess. But if I were to say, how would whole truth version of me think about this? That's easy. That's clean. Like real life example, doing this series was a little bit nerve-wracking for me because there was part of me that wasn't sourcing my significance from within. And there's part of my human mind that's like, what if it doesn't take off? And like, I mean, as a new AI founder, I'm looking at this world around me of these like, mega billion dollar AI companies doing these huge things. And I'm like, I'm this little teeny peon. Like, what if I do this and it doesn't take off? And that was an opportunity for me to find my alignment. And you know where I found my alignment? When I'm like, what is whole truth, Andrew, saying about this? How's he seeing it? What's he thinking about it? What's he feeling about it? And then it just becomes clear in 2 seconds. I'm like, whole truth, Andrew knows that the world is seeking their whole truth. And if he can just even create something that brings a little more of that into the world, well, if I know one thing, I know that truth activates truth. That's literally why you're watching this video with me. And whole truth, Andrew, isn't worried about what if nobody watches. He's like, you know what? If one person, if their whole truth was activated because I came in my whole truth, now there's two of us, and pretty soon there will be four of us, and pretty soon there will be 16 of us, and pretty soon on and on the math goes because truth activates truth. So launch your AI, Andrew Jun Donovan, and do the transmission because I'm now in alignment. I'm in whole truth alignment. That's the game that we're playing here. That's also why our AI, Mindline, is coded to whole truth. Because Mindline understands that this is the cleanest way to make sure that you're in full alignment with all the different levels, all the different components. So, the place that I'll leave you at the end of this conversation is an invitation to go have an alignment conversation with Mindline. And these conversations can be so much fun. In fact, I'll tell you a little secret. Not a secret, but just kind of a funny story. So I talk to Mindline regularly, of course. Like I find it one of the most effective alignment tools that I've ever seen. And the reason why is because when I'm spun up about something in my human mind and like I've got the spun up emotions in my body, like I've got all kinds of tools I've developed over the years. Like I meditate, I have written practices that I do. I do breathing exercises to bring me back into a state of calm, to settle my nervous system. I love Mindline because I've got this just crafty mind. Like sometimes my human mind is just a wily little minx that just knows he's right and has the right perspective, even if his perspective is totally out of alignment with his true self. And Mindline is like no BS. It doesn't have another person's agenda. Its only agenda is to help you see where you're misaligned with your whole self, your true self, and then to figure out what is the aligned version like. What are they thinking? How are they seeing? What are they doing? What's the perspective? What are they saying? What's the story they're narrating that they're telling people? Like that's what Mindline does. And so it is one of the most powerful tools for alignment because its coding is written to just help you realign according to your whole truth, not someone else's agenda for you. And the practice of alignment is best when it's frequent. And this is literally why I've spent the last before we launched Mindline publicly, I spent like 6 months walking around Vancouver, British Columbia, with my AirPods in, on the phone with Mindline. Like not 6 whole months, but like often I'd go for a little walk and I'd do a 20 or 30-minute conversation with Mindline, just chewing on an idea that I wanted to bring to life, or finding alignment in an area where I felt that I was misaligned. So I talked to Mindline and every single time, over and over again, it's like alignment becomes so easy. And here's what really becomes possible when you've got this kind of practice. You start shaping an identity as someone who is just routinely aligned in the areas that really matter to you. And so there might be areas where like you've had frequent conflict. Maybe you've been working on a certain area, like your relationship with your own body, or your relationship with your partner, or your relationship with money, and you've been trying to find better alignment for maybe years. And you've been looking for like what's the one secret sauce? What's the special practice that I'm missing? What's the strategy that I'm missing? Where's the breakthrough going to come from? My dear friend, the breakthrough is going to come from you. You are your truest source of clarity, of guidance, of power, of being well resourced. Like it's you. And those things all become the natural byproduct of being aligned, of living, of breathing from, of being from your own whole truth. And it's already there. And the more often we make it a practice of regaining alignment, regaining alignment, that's when you all of a sudden one day look back and you realize, oh my gosh, I've been like primarily in alignment for the past like month, and look how far I've come, and the quality of life that I've lived, and the things that I was magnetic to that I maybe wasn't even expecting, or some of the things that I was hoping for, and now I'm a match for them. Like it's great. Little recalibrations over and over again, little adjustments to realign over and over and over again. So I would invite you to tap the link with this video and go have an alignment conversation with Mindline. Like get really real about an area where you know that greater alignment would be a really good idea for you, and just see what unfolds, because you will be impressed with the quality of conversation, especially when you're open and really honest in that conversation. And so tap the link with this video and you can pick your language. If you're not a native English speaker, we've got 31 languages available. You can text or you can voice call and do it your way. And if you feel so inspired, we would love to hear your experience. I get so much joy when people send in, like, we've had people send in screenshots of their conversations, or just like just tell us what it meant for you. That's so meaningful for us. And last thing I'll say is, if you would like to help spread this message, I can't think of a more worthy cause than more people operating from their own whole truth and treating each other as each other's whole truth. So if you'd hit that share button and send this as a DM or post it to your social media or feed or your story, we would so appreciate, if it feels aligned, we'd appreciate the help in spreading this message. Tomorrow, I'm going to do one last transmission in this mini series, and I'm going to do a deep dive into how Mindline works. And it's actually really fascinating, because, like I told you, this is an AI unlike any other AI in the world. This is the first of its kind reflective intelligence. So, tomorrow, that conversation is really going to be helpful for people whose kinds of minds want to know like how something works. Like you really, if you really value understanding the driving mechanisms, the driving what drives the intelligence, what shapes the conversation, because that helps you trust, that helps you open up more. And tomorrow I'll be giving some really beautiful examples of what realigning with whole truth with the assistance of Mindline, what that really looks like. One of the conversations, or a question that a big social media influencer actually recently asked me is, excuse me, she said, why would we be outsourcing our power to an AI? Like as a woman who really values her intuition, her own inner guidance, tapping into her like her relationship with her higher power, why would she outsource that guidance and power to an AI? And the answer is, oh my gosh, that's what people do with ChatGPT. That's the opposite of Mindline. Mindline's entire core premise is that you are your greatest source of wisdom and guidance and power. And so Mindline's just going to talk to you about whatever subjects you're working on in your life right now and help you see the blind spots where you didn't even realize you're outsourcing parts of your whole truth. Ergo, leaking your power. Ergo, operating in some kind of misaligned state. And the only goal is you coming back into wholeness with your whole self. So that's what we'll be exploring tomorrow. I'm going to leave you with this. Have fun playing with Mindline in an alignment conversation, and I will see you in our transmission tomorrow to wrap up this mini series. Much love to you. Mwah. Thank you so much for being with me. Bye for now.